Hi there, my name is Amanda Kaufman.
And I'm Chris Lavelle.
And you are listening to the Crush Method Show. Join us each week for ideas to help you move your coaching business forward into service of others faster and with better results.
We're committed to professionalism in coaching, and we want to help you get it done.
Hey, welcome to the Crush Method Show. My name is Amanda Kaufman.
And I'm Chris Lavelle.
And we're married, and we work together building coaching businesses. We have worked with people on their performance over the years, and we work with coaches building their businesses as well. And welcome to our show. So today we're going to talk about a really important element of your holistic performance. So if you happen to be a coach, or you happen to be not a coach, this is a really good episode to pay attention to.
It doesn't matter if you're building a business or not. This can actually help you in all aspects of your life. And the first thing we wanted to talk about were your relationships, the social side of being a social creature.
Absolutely. So humans are very, very social creatures. We need social interaction.
Absolutely. But not all interactions are created equal or serve you equally.
I remember the first time I really read about relationships as it relates to performance. And I was initially a bit skeptical about even talking about it.
Well, a lot of them, when you're growing up, people don't really talk to you about making sure that you invest in your friendships per se, and making sure they're the right friendships for where you want to go in life. Nobody talks to you about that when you're a kid growing up. It's something you come to later in life, maybe when you've made some bad decisions with relationships.
So true. Like, I would even go so far as to say society often will give us a lot of encouragement to sometimes do the wrong things when it comes to our relationships. So, for example, this idea that you need to be friends forever.
Or friends with everybody.
Right. Or that somehow if a relationship is not working out, that is your shortcoming as a human.
Or you should work on it forever to get it to work.
And look how that shows up, right?
And sometimes that doesn't serve very well.
It doesn't.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. I mean, look at the divorce rates. Look at how miserable sometimes people can get because they're in toxic relationships. So I'm not talking about trauma today. I'm not talking about anything like this. I really want you to think about this more in the context of high performance and personal development.
And high performance relationships is a natural corollary.
Absolutely. Jim Rohn said that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And isn't that just so true?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Fortunately for me, one of mine is you.
And one of mine is you, of course.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
And so obviously your spousal decisions are important, but I would say like every relationship, and relationships permeate everything.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
It could be how you treat the person who helps bag your groceries, all the way up to those formal kind of legal relationships that you might have with people, or business relationships,
Even family relationships, your Uncle Fred and Aunt Edna.
Exactly. So the subject of social is really, really huge. What we wanted to do today is really talk to you about it in the context of achieving your goals. I'm guessing if you listen to this show, if you happen to be a coach or you happen to be working in the area of personal development, you're probably in the business of helping improve the circumstances of your fellow human beings.
Absolutely. And so in that context, it behooves you to think a little bit. Well, who are my friends that could help me on this, and then I should be spending more time with maybe, or developing deeper relationships with?
Mm-hmm. I defaulted on my friendships and relationships for a long time. And what I mean by that is that I really just allowed whatever relationships to happen that were around me and kind of convenient to my situation. I wasn't as mindful about the kinds of the types of relationships that I was, really investing in. And that's something that's changed dramatically in the last 5 years or so.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as you're trying to create something, you really need to think about the assets that can help you create it. And relationships are one of those key assets too.
Exactly. So whether it's, what relationships you're having with people who you might potentially be working with in your business.
Possible clients,
or potential partnerships of people that you might work with. Yep. It could be people that you invite to work for you because, we always say you're the CEO of your business if you happen to be building a coaching business. And so those relationships are really, really important as well. So I think if we leave those things to chance, chances are we're going to wind up with an average kind of a result and an average sort of an outcome.
Well, anytime you just kind of let things evolve without kind of a thought towards what's the plan for it, so to speak, well, then you wind up being subject to instead of being the leader of whatever your plan is. And that's true in relationships as well. So we're not saying you need to be Machiavellian about it. That's not what we're talking about. But we're saying instead, do be conscious of who are my friends. For example, who are my friends that are going to help me on this journey? Or who are my friends that maybe shouldn't help me on this journey?
Right. And I found it really helpful to kind of take a holistic picture. So I remember when I was starting out on this entrepreneurial journey, I wanted to radically change my career, and I wanted to make some other radical life changes as well in terms of how I was spending my time, my physical health, my emotional health, all these different things. And I didn't necessarily, I'm not advocating that you pick on any of your existing friends, but I was looking at some of the commonalities that my friends had at the time, and I was like, wow, nobody is running their own business in a serious way. Right? A lot of my friends were struggling with going to the gym really regularly and those kinds of lifestyle habits that I wanted to pick up.
Or being satisfied with where they were going in their career or otherwise.
And this is not a judgment for where they were or anything like that. But I want you to think about it in your life. How is that influencing your choices and your decisions? So rather than saying, hey, let's just like torch all those relationships, torch all the friendships, instead I said, who do I need to add to my life? Where do I need to make sure that I'm spending time with people who have the kinds of goals and ambitions and aspirations that I have?
Well, absolutely. And you know, to your point of not trying to cut people out of your life per se, so I mentioned Uncle Frank and Aunt Edna earlier. They're family. You can't get away from them at holiday parties and things like that. But it doesn't mean that you need to discuss your business with people who maybe don't know anything about that kind of business. Doesn't mean that their perspective carries any potential weight in the areas you're trying to grow in if they don't have experience in those areas.
And a lot of people don't know this, but I started this business a little bit before you were necessarily on board with it. And so I remember at that stage too, I was looking for mentorship and advice, and I couldn't really talk to you about it much. I didn't have any
background on it. I mean, you kept me in the loops, and I actually learned a lot from that process, but it's not something I could give you recommendations on.
Exactly. You were supportive, as a husband who was working in another job and not necessarily focus on those things. So that kind of leads to the next takeaway for today's show, that you really want to think about, well, what do you need?
So give it some conscious thought, for example.
Exactly.
What support do you need? What kind of relationships maybe are you missing right now? What kind of support is another way to say that are you missing right now and you could use on your journey?
Do you have a mentor, for example?
That's a key one right there.
Someone who has been there and done that. I know when I started really focusing on my physical health, it's been really important for me to work with a trainer. Really important, because I had years of not knowing what to do when I go to the gym. And I had this expectation that I would just walk into the gym and know what to do.
Oh, magically. Let's do it.
I did not know what to do.
No.
So,
and you know what? Again, that's a great example of not all relationships are equal, because you've had multiple trainers through the years.
Absolutely.
And some were great, some were not so great, and some were fantastic. And sometimes you had to say, maybe that's not the one I need for where I am now and where I want to go now, but maybe in the future that's someone I can come back to.
Such a great point. So I think it brings all of this intentionality to what is it that you do need? Sometimes you also just need a friend, just somebody to kibitz with and,
a sympathetic ear. And that's fine. That's what that particular role is for that friend. There's nothing right, wrong, or indifferent about it. You just recognize that's the support I need, and this is a relationship that will give it to me. Of course, you have to be willing to do the same yourself.
Exactly. And that brings us to our third point today, which is, I have a good stock of who I'm surrounded by. I understand what I need, and maybe I've got some gaps. So then what do you do about it?
How do you fill those gaps? Where do you go to solve those needs once you've decided what those needs are?
Exactly. So one of the first things Chris and I did when we realized that, yes, we want to be high-performing coaches, we want to have high-performing businesses.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the first most meaningful steps that I took was to join a community of, at first it was female entrepreneurs, and then we added a mastermind. We joined a mastermind.
Absolutely. Like-minded people on a similar journey. Some of them were much further in their journey than we were at the time. Some of them were right where we are, and some of them were even more beginner than we were at that time. But it was a great opportunity for us to then have a mix of people that were at least moving in the same right direction that we wanted to go in. And then that gave us a chance to say, okay, well, amongst this population, which ones are a great fit for just being buddies, which ones are great fits for affiliate, which one are more mentor roles, which ones are ones that maybe we could mentor and therefore teach even deeper learnings to ourselves out of it.
Exactly. So whether it's local networking or joining a formal mastermind or a virtual mastermind, it's getting easier and easier to find communities of people that have similar goals, similar value sets to you, and to make the time to actually go and be present and be an enthusiastic participant. I think one of the biggest things that I see right now in the world, honestly, not just among coaches and the coaching industry, is a bit of a withdrawal in general from having deeper relationships. And I think it's costing a lot of people their happiness, their sense of connection, their sense of ability to have support for their goals and their dreams. And especially we don't want that for
people.
you.
Yeah, yes. Especially as social people. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, just like in most things in life, you get what you put into it. And the same is true in relationships. And it's also absolutely true that you can let them just kind of happen by happenstance, or you can take a conscious decision to actually grow them the way you want them to grow. One way is your agenda in line with your goals, and one is honestly no goals or somebody else's goals. Yes. So make a conscious decision, guys.
Exactly. So we hope you found this to be really, really helpful, and we'll see you again next time on the Crush Method Show.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mwah.
On that note, we want to thank you so much for tuning in.
Can you please do us a favor? Please go ahead and subscribe to our show. And if you would please take a moment and rate and leave a review of our podcast, it'll really help folks find us.
And if you're a coach who is building your practice, go check out www.thecrushmethod.com to find our latest free trainings and worksheets for coaches committed to making this crazy world of ours a better place.